Oh my days. Hello, everybody. Good evening, good day, good afternoon. How is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing today? Clean my screen. Swipe this screen. Okay. All right. How's everybody doing today, guys? We're going to have a good show. Got some interesting things to talk about. I'm going to give people a moment to get in and situated before we get rocking and rolling. Close a few things down here. Let's see, what is this? Pricing. All right, close that. Okay. All right. What's up, guys? How you doing, Instagram? Good evening. I am Dauda. You can't get my book. It's available on Amazon. I am Dauda on Instagram. It's available on Amazon. You can click the link on my bio. And if you click the link on my bio, it will take you to Amazon.com. But depending on what country you are, you need to go to the Amazon site for your country. What I'm going to be doing, though, is I'm going to see about releasing this in digital format. So I'm going to be doing a digital format release of the graphic novel at some stage where you can get it directly from me if you want the digital version. So I'm going to actually be able to take care of that in due course. But for the time being, it's Amazon. So if you are able to access Amazon from whatever your location is, that is where you'll be able to get the copy of the book from whatever Amazon site that you go to. Okay? From whatever Amazon site that you go to. What's going on, Instagram? Good evening. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Instagram. As you come into the Instagram and the YouTube chats, let me know where you're hailing from, you know, how you found me, but I always like to know who is here. Introduce yourselves. Always introduce yourselves. Hi, Miss Goddess K. How are you? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Miss Goddess K. Let me actually even sort out my settings on this thing. Okay. Sort out my settings live. Okay. Sort out some of these settings. Okay. All right, we've taken care of that. San Diego, California, Joyce Blogs. Okay. Joyce Boggs. That's good. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm going to leave the chat open for a little bit, you know, so you'll be able to chat for a little bit, but that might change in due course. Happy New Year, Ulrika Rookwood. Happy New Year, Instagram, Ulrika Rookwood. Kemi Drax Manhattan, NYC. Manhattan, NYC. How are you? Welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about South Africa taking Israel to international court. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I mean, it's such a crazy story because, you know, you think about this and you say that the first country to sue Israel, like essentially bring them to task, sue them, however you want to phrase it, happens to be an African country, not a Middle Eastern country, not a Western nation, nowhere from Asia. It's an African country that is the first people to take Israel to court. listen, guys, I mean, I don't even know where we will talk about it. I don't know where I'm going to begin with the topic, but we will talk about it because I find that absolutely fascinating. I find that absolutely fascinating. You know, absolutely fascinating. If you're here and you're in the chat, remember to like the chat, hit the like button, and also share it. Hit the like button and also share the chat. I'm going to be posting an article in my newsletter about a few things. Actually, I have an article to post about the massacre in Nigeria over Christmas. I'm going to post an article, my thoughts on that. I'm also going to do an article about this situation, because this is wild. In fact, I don't even think the article. I think what's going to happen is a podcast thoughts shall be posted, because today's show is only going to be an hour long. It's only going to be an hour long show where we're going to chop it up, talk about these things. But then once we're through, I'm going to get onto that newsletter situation and post a few things over there in an article, because I haven't done this week's article yet. So I'll just wait for a few more people to get in here, and then we'll get going. Ulrika Rookwood in Germany. Okay. Then we'll get going on this story. And we're also going to talk about allegedly there are aliens in Miami. Listen, guys, it's a Friday. It's not usually the kind of subject matter that I discuss, but it's a Friday. So we'll talk about aliens in Miami. Hi, my golden life. How are you? Welcome to the show. Austin Nello, hello. How are you? We're going to talk about everything we got to talk about today, guys. But first of all, we're going to deal with serious issues. Then we'll talk about aliens. We're going to talk about serious issues. Then we'll talk about aliens. Welcome to my Patreon family, my Patreon supporters. Miss My Golden Life, Miss Goddess K. Welcome to the Patreon family. Everybody who has been joining the Patreon as well, thank you so much. Everybody who has not yet joined the Patreon, you're missing out. That's where the real happens, on the Patreon, on that Patreon channel, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to give it a little bit more. We've got a couple of minutes more. I always give it 10 minutes at the top of the show. So we got 10 minutes more at the top of the show before I get into this topic. Okay? 10 minutes more at the top of the show before I get into this topic. Let me actually see where my share is. Okay. Let's copy that. All right. All right. Okay. Let's put that right there. All right. All right. There we go. All right. Yeah, guys. So we're gonna definitely talk about this one. This it's wild, man. Africa is always, listen. For those people who didn't see my video, I mean, I know I haven't posted on Instagram. If you're a Patreon member, you saw it early, and then I posted it a bit later on my YouTube about my thoughts regarding Black Africa and Palestine and the Israeli situation. I posted that. For those people who haven't seen that video, you should watch that video, because I think that's going to give you a little bit of context over what we're going to be discussing today in terms of how I feel about what's going on. Because I think it is ironic that South Africa are the first country getting their paws grubby, getting their paws dirty, in this situation. I think it's something to be said. Let me actually see if I can bring my co-host in here. Let's see if I can bring a co-host in here. Yeah, guys, it's madness. It's madness. But we're going to talk about it. All right, guys, let's get into this show. The time has come. All right, guys. So welcome. This is the Merc. Welcome to the show. This is it's let's say the first official show of 2024. Usually we do the shows on Sunday evenings, but when there's hot topics, things on the back on the burner, I like to jump on when I have a free moment, and I have a few moments right now, and I felt it was appropriate for me to jump online and have a conversation with everybody about what's going on. So, for those people who are not aware, well, I think everybody's aware that there's a war on in the Middle East. I think everybody knows that, but you may not be aware that South Africa has been very vocally against the actions of Israel in this war, and they've condemned it. They expelled the Israeli ambassador, closed the embassy. They did a bunch of those things, which I actually made a video of, or not a video about it, but I commented on it on my TikTok and Instagram, and I think on YouTube as well. I think I mentioned that. Well, these guys have taken it a step further. They've actually taken Israel to court. They've taken these guys to court, to international court. And we are now going to look into that situation. So this article is from The Guardian. Let me blow this up a little bit so people can see it really clearly. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. So this is from the Guardian article. Stakes high as South Africa brings claim of genocidal intent against Israel. Israel's decision to defend itself at the International Court of Justice will make it harder for it to brush aside any adverse finding. We're going to get into what that means a bit later on, but let's just read the article and then we'll talk about it. South Africa's request for an interim measure by the International Court of Justice to prevent Israel from committing acts of potential genocide, primarily by calling for a halt to combat operations, has suddenly taken on an urgency and relevance that seemed implausible a fortnight ago. Crack legal teams are being assembled. Countries are issuing statements in support of South Africa, and Israel has said it will defend itself in court, reversing a decades-old policy of boycotting the UN's top courts and its 15 elected judges. I think that there is a reason for that decision, and we will get into that as well. But I'm going to go through the whole article and then we'll go point for point, because I think that there is a reason for that decision. The first hearing in The Hague is set for 11th and 12th January. Wow, that's round the corner. If precedent is any guide, it is possible the ICJ, International Court of Justice, for those who are not aware, will issue a provisional ruling within weeks. Wow. And certainly while the Israeli attacks on Gaza are likely to be still underway. The wheels of global justice, at least interim justice, do not always grind slowly. Again, guys, a lot of these things are very interesting details. A lot of these things are very, very interesting details, but we'll get into that. So, South Africa's request for a provisional ruling is in line with a broader trend at the ICJ for such rulings. Parties have been seeking and obtaining provisional measures with increasing frequency. In the last decade, the court has indicated provisional measures in 11 cases, compared with 10 in the first 50 years of the court's existence, 1945 to 1995. Like interim injunctions issued by national courts, ICJ provisional measures seek to freeze the legal situation between parties to ensure the integrity of a future final judgment. For a while, let me see, where are we now? Let me see. All right. For a while, doubt persisted as to whether these measures were deemed binding by the ICJ, but the court put those doubts to rest in the Legrand judgment in June 2001, where it held that the rulings were binding given the court's basic function of judicial settlement of international disputes. They are intended to be binding, but are they in practice? One assessment prepared by a US lawyer, Matei Alexianu, okay, suggested that, wow, suggested that the court's measures were complied with by the state parties. This is interesting. One assessment prepared by a U.S. lawyer, say Alexander, with the state parties in only 50% of cases. Okay. While in some, normally the most high-profile recent cases included Ukraine and versus Russia in 2022, the Gambia's claims of genocide against Myanmar in 2020, Nagorno-Karabakh, and U.S. sanctions on Iran, the losing state party simply defied the court. Not surprisingly, the more intrusive and adverse ruling to a country's sense of national sovereignty, the less likely they were to comply. But putting aside whether Israel would comply with any ICJ order to change its military tactics and desist from any act ruled as genocide, the reputational damage to Israel of such a ruling would be substantial, and at minimum may produce a modification of its military campaign. The very fact that Israel has chosen to defend itself at the ICJ, a UN-sponsored body, and is a signatory to the Genocide Convention makes it harder for it to brush aside any adverse finding. You know what? Let's stop there. I think that's all we need to read. Guys. You see, this is the situation. And, I'm going to keep it. This is actually a very simple situation here. So I feel, that the reason why, we'll get onto the motivation for why South Africa is doing this, but the reason why I believe that Israel is accepting, going to this tribunal and attending this trial or whatever, however you want to call it. I don't know whether it's a trial or whatever. The reason why they're doing this is I think it's really about public relations. I think the hammering that the Israeli government has taken over the course of this war and this conflict has been extreme and much greater than anything that I've seen in my lifetime when it comes to the Arab-Israeli conflict. I've never seen Israel have to defend itself as much as I've seen in the course of this particular conflict. And I've never seen the amount of dissent and negative rhetoric against Israel in the public sphere ever before. So that's a guarantee that I've never seen this before. Because typically, most people have said, it's not really a conversation that other people engage in freely whenever it happens, because it has been generally taboo to engage in these conversations if you are not from these communities. And that's just the way it's been. But I think obviously because of social media and the way that social media has affected discourse, it's made it much easier for anybody to have a microphone. And also the shifts in society has made it harder to create the kinds of mandates that you used to have. Let's just put it that way. It's not as easy. So I think that the reason why Netanyahu has agreed to do this is because it is an attempt to do repairs to the reputation of his administration. So whether or not he already knows that from the IDJ that this is going to come out favorably for him, I don't know whether he already knows that these guys will not be able to prove. I have no idea. Part of me feels that he must have some kind of inside knowledge to be willing to do this, because otherwise it's an extremely risky thing. Even if you feel you have to, it's still risky because, as is said in that article, if the ruling is unfavorable, if the IDJ and all these guys come out and say that this is genocide and this is genocidal and these things, the military action that Israel is taking needs to be adjusted. How then do you go forward without making those adjustments? It's challenging because, as again was said in the article, Israel is on the genocide committee of the International Courts of Justice. It's on the committee. So you can't be on the committee yet you've been accused of doing the thing that you're supposed to be on the committee fighting against and think you're going to be able to go forward unscathed. But more than anything, I think the biggest or the most damaging aspect of it is in the courts of public opinion. Because so far, people have been saying that this is genocidal, this is so on, and this is a crimes against humanity. People have just been saying that. It's a whole different ball game whereas you were previously able to argue that these are just random people who do not know what they're talking about, versus going to a trial at the International Court of law and being found guilty of these things. How then do you push back against that? How do you push back against that? You know? And I think it's going to be a really, really challenging thing for them to resolve. I mean, I don't know which way this is going to go, personally, because, we've been surprised before. My instinct would tell me that, oh, you know what, these guys are definitely going to win. And that's the reason why this is happening. But I'm like, you know what, at this stage, I don't know where anybody's allegiances truly lie anymore, or how elaborate, how do I put it? How elaborate the game might be. I don't know, because it is unprecedented. Like, people are saying, it's I think the reason why this is being so downplayed is because of how unprecedented it is. Because if you notice, this has not been mainstream news. Even though this is a really, really big deal, it's not been mainstream news. It's not like everybody knows about this. It's not like it's on rotation on the news 24/7, even though it should be, based on the fact that so much airtime has been given to the war and that narrative and that story up to this point. That another country is taking one of the combatants in this war to court. Come on, guys. I mean, that is something that needs to be that should be spoken about more openly. It's definitely something that should be spoken about way more openly. So it's crazy that I'm sure a lot of the people who are listening to me now, this is the first that you're hearing about this. You probably didn't even know this was happening. But yeah, guys, I mean, I actually feel that, and I'm this that now. Let's just look at the motivations, because people would ask the question that why is South Africa doing this, and why are they getting involved? Why do they seem so interested in this conflict, and why are they so intent on picking a side? Why are they so intent on supporting the Palestinians without, because a lot of people, they just put out a statement and just say, this is what we believe, and then they move on. That's what a lot of these other countries have done. They've put out a statement of where they stand and they move on. I don't know whether I want to take this at face value or not. I don't know whether there are political reasons within South Africa for them making this sort of stance in order to win the next election. I don't know, because, listen, after doing my own research on things, I found that the Israel-South Africa relationship has been extremely frosty and negative for a very, very long time, for decades and decades and decades. And I wasn't aware how involved Israel and South Africa had been with each other till I recently did a video and I had to do research for it. And I found out how far back that history goes. And once I saw it and I saw the particulars of it, I became aware of why South Africa wouldn't be best friends with Israel. I understood why. And, you know, a lot of it tracks back to apartheid and the fact that Israel were doing business with a regime that were not, you know, they were not the best, to say the least. But you're doing business with a regime that is the enemy of the black folks. So now that the black folks are now in power in South Africa, you then understand why they have no love for Israel. You understand why. And in reading the history and the trajectory of it and the way in which Israel were actually allied with the apartheid government. And when I say allied, it's just business. They were just doing business. But part of that problem is that doing business with these guys, essentially, it was supporting an organization that were oppressing the black indigenous people. But on looking at it, you really start understanding why they're in the position that they're in. I mean, I think this is revenge to a degree. Do I think it's political? Yes, 100%. I feel like there are certain demographics within South Africa that want to see this sort of thing, that wants to see South Africa take this sort of position because their memories are long and they remember the apartheid scenario. So they definitely are no friends of Israel. So I do feel that there is some of that. Because again, it is strange that they seem so focused on holding Israel accountable. I think it's very interesting that they feel so focused on doing that. So I don't know where this is all going to go. I don't know if it's going to be televised when Netanyahu takes the stand and actually goes to the courts to defend his administration's actions. I'm wondering, based on what we know, how he's going to do that. You know, I mean, regardless of how you slice it, the footage coming out of that place looks like hell on earth. It looks like hell on earth. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's a tough question. It's a tough one because I really don't. I don't believe that we know the full picture of what this all means. And I think I'll put it that way. Like, I think there is more to this than meets the eye. And we are not sure whether what we're seeing is the full picture. I'm in that boat. I think that there's a lot more because this just doesn't really follow for me. It doesn't really follow for me. All right, guys, welcome to all the people who are new that are stopping in. Please announce yourselves as you start listening. Please announce yourselves so that I know that you are here. Just having a look at something now. Let's see. Let's see. Guys, you know what? Let me ask you a question here. This is actually a random one. and I'm going to talk about this maybe a bit later as well, because I know we got to talk about aliens in Miami. But I wanted to talk about, has anybody watched this Cat Williams interview? I want to talk about the Cat Williams interview, but I was thinking of doing that on Sunday. How do you guys feel about the talking about the Cat Williams? Because again, it's not really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the reason why I was debating it is that it's not really the wheelhouse of the channel. Like, you know, we're more Africa, the diaspora. But that interview was wild. That's one of the craziest interviews that I think I've ever seen in my life. This guy went in hot. Like, he started hot. It wasn't, you see, some interviews that are crazy like that, they ease into it. This guy came in full barrels locked and loaded from the very first second of that interview. This guy went in with two barrels loaded, locked and loaded. And man, that interview was wild. And so I'm just saying that I was like, would my audience want to talk about this? I wasn't sure. I was like, let me bring it to the table. Let me ask. Maybe I'll talk to you guys in the Patreon about it. We can have a decision in the Patreon and see if we're going to put it out there. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll do a Patreon just to feel the waters and see whether we should bring it to the table on Sunday. Because, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not sure that it is necessarily directly relevant to Africa and the diaspora, but it sure as hell is entertaining. And it's black folks, so, you know, we might as well, you know, check it out. But what do you guys think? Should I talk about it? You know, do you think I should talk about it? Mixed monthly, what are you talking about? Creating a partnership with Congo for mass display. What are you talking about? Don't just say things randomly. I mean, you know, you have to give me some actual evidence. It's worth a discussion. Okay, too real. We'll talk about Cat Williams. We'll talk about Cat Williams. So maybe I'll make Cat Williams the Sunday show topic. I'll make Cat Williams the Sunday show topic. And Dave Chappelle has a new special out. I haven't finished that. I was watching that too. I guess we could talk about that too in the same show. We could talk about that too in the same show. But okay, cool, guys. I wanted to just check, you know, how you guys felt about that. Miss Goddess K, is that a fact? Is that a fact, Miss Goddess K? Or is that rumors? You're saying that Israel wants to send the Palestinians to Congo and DRC. Is that a fact? And if you believe that's the case, where was that information gotten from? What's the source of that info? Because that's a pretty crazy allegation right there. That's a crazy allegation. Let me see. All right. I'm just trying to figure out some stuff here. Welcome to the guys joining the show on YouTube. How are you guys doing? On a few news sources. Yeah, but you know what? That's the problem. It's like, what are the news sources? What are the news sources? You know what I mean? So I don't want to just go down that road and you know, start talking about things that may not necessarily be true. I don't want to do that. I'm wary about doing that. And Miss Goddess K, do you have let me see if I don't think I have the ability to, let's see. I don't think I have the ability to. I'm looking at my live here. Okay. I don't think I have the ability to moderate my live on Instagram. Yeah, I don't think I have the ability to do that. I was going to try and do that, but I can't, unfortunately. I don't even think I can have moderators on the Instagram feed. I don't think I can even have moderators on it. All right, let's see. All right, guys. Yes, anyway, as I was saying, yeah, look, it's a big thing. I will see what comes of it. The story about Israel wanting to send Palestinians to Congo is from the Times of Israel. Came out on Wednesday. Okay, let me see. Paste the link. Do you have the link to that article? Could you put the link in the chat? Put the link in the chat and then I'll pull it up. Put the link in the chat and I'll pull it up. You know? I'm not talking about reading any 80-page document. I'm saying that if you have a link about this stuff, could you just post the link for me? Like, you know, it's not rocket science. Like, if you have the link, post the link. I'm not going to just start talking about something just because somebody tells me that's what happened. If you have the link, then sure, let me see it and I can put it on the screen. Everybody can look at it. We can read it. Give me the link, because I've been reading about. I did not read anything like that, so that's what I'm saying. I must have missed it then. If you're saying this an official piece of news, I must have missed it, because I would imagine that would be very big news through the grassroots. I would imagine. That's what I would think. But I haven't heard anything at all. Mm-mm-mm. Of the Car Williams interview, okay. Yeah, no, we're going to do that on Sunday, My Golden Life. We're going to do that one on Sunday. We will do that one on Sunday. One of the candidates in the DRC election was Congolese, Drew, the one from Katanga. Yeah, Obiema, well, what does that got to do with anything? What has that got to do with what has that got to do with what we're actually specifically talking about? Somebody said that they officially, in the Times of Israel, they said that they were trying to send Palestinians to Congo and DRC. And I'm like, okay, what's the link? Give me the link. And the person has disappeared. I don't know where they are. I'm looking for, okay, here we go. I've got a link here. All right, let me copy and paste this. Let's see. It's not going to let me. I don't know how I'm going to. Can you put that in the private chat? Miss Goddess K, put that in the private chat so I can actually access it, because I'm not able to copy and paste that link. Let me see if I can copy and paste the link from my page. Let's see if I can copy and paste it from my page, because I'm not able to grab it from this. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've got the link. Israel in talks with Congo and other countries on Gaza voluntary migration. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Let me post that. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm seeing the links now. I'm going to post the link. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. That is crazy. I'm going to post it. Hold up. That's wild, man. That's wild. Let me post this link. All right, hold up. We're going to do it. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second, guys. All right. Give me a second. I'm going to post this now. All right. Give me a second. What I'm trying to just put up a post up here. Give me a second. Okay. Israel in talks to relocate Palestinians to Congo. Listen, that's crazy, guys. I definitely have to post about that tonight when I get off the show. When I get off the show, I'll definitely post about that tonight because that's wild. That's wild, guys. I didn't even know that was what was going on. That's wild, guys. Give me a second. Give me a second to figure this out. Okay. There we go. That's the article right there. It is Times of Israel from what I'm seeing. Wow. All right. Why is listen, guys, this is what I want to understand. Why is everything Africa? Why are we involved in this? Like, I don't understand. Like, what of all the countries you could be sending people to, why are you talking about an like what have we got to do with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we've got to do with this? This is weird. Like, that's the reason why I found it so crazy, and I didn't even believe it's true. Is that why on earth are you trying to send refugees to Congo? Congo, that's that. You know what? Anyway, look, we're going to talk about this. Let me just look at this article. Let me look at this article. I didn't even know this was happening. This is crazy. I'm gonna have to do a video on this. So Israel in talks with Congo and other countries on Gaza voluntary migration plan. Voluntary migration? Guys, what is voluntary about this? I don't understand. Like, how is this voluntary? I think what I think is weird for me about this is that Congo itself, for those people who are aware of this, is undergoing some of the craziest levels of unrest you can possibly imagine. So to think that they would be a destination for anybody who are fleeing unrest is strange, to say the least. Like, I mean, I'll just say it's strange. I would not know why you would be sending anybody to a place that is already in such distress. But anyway, Israel in talks with Congo and other countries on Gaza voluntary migration plan. Let's read through this. Senior officials say Jerusalem working on post-war, resettlement of Palestinians from Strip. Some ministers tout Saudi Arabia as destination for Gazans seeking construction work. The voluntary resettlement of Palestinians from Gaza is slowly becoming a key official policy of the government, with a senior official saying that Israel has held talks with several countries for their potential absorption. Zeman Israel, the Times of Israel's Hebrew sister site, has learned that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition is conducting secret contacts for accepting thousands of immigrants from Gaza, with Congo in addition to other nations. Congo will be willing to take in migrants, and we're in talks with others, a senior source in the security cabinet said. Why would Congo... What? Congo has high levels of inequality, and 52.5% of the population lives below the poverty line, according to the World Food Programme. Meanwhile, Gaza is facing a growing humanitarian crisis amid the Israel-Hamas war, which was sparked on October 7th when thousands of terrorists stormed the border and rampaged through southern Israeli communities, massacring some 1,200 and kidnapping approximately 240 more as hostages in the Strip. Last Monday, Netanyahu told man was responding to Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 guys. So it's true. I stand corrected. I mean, it's actually true. What do you know? Wow. Guys, I don't even know what to say about that, man. That's crazy. No, I mean, they're definitely paying them. I mean, there is no way that this is just happening for the sake of it. I mean, some kind of deal must have been done. That is like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's like Congo is falling apart. How on earth can a country that is falling apart and has been in turmoil for decades and nobody is paying attention to Congo, nobody is helping Congo, nobody is trying to support Congo? Congo have child laborers, people being exploited, people dying on the daily. That is the destination of people who are fleeing unrest. What of all the countries to even go? That is literally, if I was going to list destinations, Congo would be this. It wouldn't even be on the list. It wouldn't even be like, oh, it's the last name on the list. I wouldn't even put it on the list. It wouldn't even be an option. I mean, this is just pure exploitation because clearly whoever is in charge in Congo has been paid. They're going to get some kind of deal to do this. And that's what this is about. And they just want to offload these people somewhere. And that would be like one of the easiest place for you to offload them to. Not thinking about what do you think the lives of those Palestinians is going to be like going into another war-torn country? You're going from one war-torn country to another war-torn country, which is also dealing with, as they said, ridiculous levels of inequality. So what kind of jobs are you going to have? What kind of life are you going to have over there? You know? Unbelievable, man. I mean, that I didn't, I wasn't, I was not aware that this was what was going on. I was unaware that this was what was going on. What I want to know is that why are they even reporting this? Like, why would it? Because I would think that the Times of Israel wouldn't even report something like this. And to whoever is saying in Instagram, whereby they're saying the DRC are denying it, of course they're denying it. They would, of course, they're not going to admit that they're doing this. Of course not. Why wouldn't they deny it? Of course they're denying it. Welcome to everybody who's joining the show, guys. Like and share the show. Share it with everybody you think would be interested in the show. Like and share the show. 2 million people in Congo to Congo. Is that how many they're sending? They're sending 2 million people to the Congo. This is actually a very serious story. I'm glad that you brought this to my attention. I have to do a video about this because that's ridiculous. Like I'm going to do a video about it because I mean, I'm concerned about that decision because you're going to screw up Congo even more. Congo have problems. I haven't even had time to get into my Congo video. I was going to do a video on Congo. There's a lot of people who've been telling me to do videos on Congo. I haven't had time to because I've been trying to get these other videos and other things off the ground. I haven't even got into that. You're trying to tell me now that on top of what Congo is dealing with, these people are trying to send millions of refugees to them. Of course, Egypt and Jordan denied it. Of course they did. Listen, I mean, this is something that needs to be brought out. Like, people, we need to talk about this. Like, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had because this is exploitation. You know that sending that number of refugees to any country is going to destabilize them. You know that. So therefore, you're getting them to a country where nobody cares about the destabilization it's going to cause in Congo. Nobody cares. That's the reason why you're doing this. Like, oh, you know what? They're screwed anyway. Nobody cares about these guys. Just send all these people over there. And it's bad for both groups. It's bad for the Congo as a country. It's bad for the refugees themselves because you're going to a country that doesn't have the infrastructure. Do you know that at the same time, why isn't Britain taking in Palestinian refugees? You took refugees from Ukraine. You've had, and to this day, you're doing campaigns with Uber and all these things about take in a Ukrainian family campaigns. Why don't we do a take in a Palestinian family campaign? Why do we not have a take in a Palestinian family campaign in all these Western nations? You know what I'm saying? Like what? Because we're talking about this as if like, why don't we do that? Like, because the refugee thing is not about right and wrong. It's not about taking a side. It's about humanity, right? Which was always your argument when it came to Ukraine. It's about humanity. So therefore, there is no reason that you shouldn't be doing a campaign for Palestinian families. It's ridiculous. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to send them to Congo, send them to the Africans, the blacks. Come on, guys. I mean, it's ridiculous. Because again, like I said, what do you know the level of damage this is going to do to Congo's infrastructure? A country that is already just it's just screwed anyway. To them, because even a country that is well-to-do, look at how America is reacting to the refugees that they have, the immigrants they have. Look at how Canada is reacting. These are rich countries. These are some of the most wealthy countries, the wealthiest countries in the world. Look at how they are reacting to taking in refugees. And you want to send them to the Congo? Lord have mercy. Wow, man. Wow. That's crazy news. Do you know what? That news is so wild that the person who told me, whoever said it in the chat, that's why I didn't even believe you, because it's just a crazy thing to be doing. That's why I didn't believe you. I was like, nah, this is a lie. It can't be true. But it will provide a new place for settlements too. They're almost out of space after they get Gaza. Listen, guys, I don't even know what to say, because as I read it in front of you right now, that is the first I knew of that situation. I wasn't even aware that that was happening. I wasn't aware that that was going on. So I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't aware that that was what was happening, guys. Absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And you know what? This is the thing, right? And again, like, do you know where the Congo is geographically, by the way? I think you guys know where geographically the Congo is. In fact, I'm going to pull up a map here. Let's take a look at a map. And we're going to find where Africa, Middle East map. We're going to look at this, guys. Give me a second. All right. All right. I'm going to pull up a map so we can really see what these guys are trying to pull here. Hold on. Large. So we can find exactly what we're talking about. All right. Let me see now. What's this? Cameroon. Libya. See, I can't even find, where's Congo here? Hold on. It's right in the middle. Okay, you know what? I'm going to see if I can pull this, because I'm trying to get a map that's going to show enough of the world that I can show you exactly the distance that these guys are talking about. But this will do. This will do. This will have to do. I've got a map here. This will have to do. Because this map doesn't show Congo. Hold on. Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, yeah, I think I've got one here. I've got one here. Okay, guys, we're going to look at this map here. Hold on. Put a new tab. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right. Give me a second, guys. We're going to look at this map. All right, guys. Can you see that map? All right, guys. Check this out. You see the Democratic Republic of Congo there? You see that right there at the bottom? You probably can't see my pointer. Can you see my pointer? You can't see my pointer on the screen, but Democratic Republic of Congo is right at the bottom of that map. Up on the top right is where Israel and, well, in the middle top is where Israel and Palestine and all this sort of stuff is going on, right? Do you know that in order for these people to get to Congo, they've got to get through Egypt, Libya, Sudan, South Sudan, then to get, like, these guys literally have to, first of all, you're right next to Jordan, Syria, Turkey, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Yemen. You're next to all of these countries. Then in order to, you're going to ignore all of those countries. Like, you know what, now we're not going to go into any of those places. You could also go to Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, to Turkmenistan. You're like, now we're not going to go there. We're going to cross over, go past Egypt, through Sudan, Libya, Chad, and we're going to go all the way down to Congo. Now, my question to you guys is that why on earth would you go all the way over there and skip over all these other potential countries? And that's the reason why I wanted to show you the map, just for you to visually see how far these guys are going to have to go in order to get any potential refugees from Palestine to Congo. It's important for you to see it visually, because then you just ask yourself the question that, wait a minute, what exactly are you guys trying to do? Like, it's not like you're sending people back to their native land or something. So what are we doing? Why is Congo, why are you going, you're going all the way to Congo? Yes, Mixed Monthly, we know this. I understand what you're saying. My point about this is that that is what is happening. We know. I mean, this is just, listen, guys, I'm amazed. Do you know what is actually amazing me? Forget even what's going on. That's a side hustle. The real thing that's amazing me here is that more people aren't talking about this. I didn't know about this because nobody's talking about it. So that's the reason why I didn't know about it. I didn't know anything about this. The bigger story that I'm even reporting on today that I'm talking about, which is South Africa taking Israel to court, that is not mainstream news. That's not mainstream news. Like, I'm bringing it up, but so I was already thinking that, wow, isn't it really weird that something of that magnitude is happening, and this isn't like the main news story? And underneath that, you've got this story, which is, even to me, it's even crazier. So you've got one African country suing these guys and taking them to court, and then another African country who is now going to be accepting the refugees that are being displaced by the war. Like, this is what I don't understand. Why can't Israelis accept the refugees? Like, if you're having a conflict with somebody, why don't you accept the refugees? Like, why are you sending the refugees to another country? If really this battle is not about the refugees, what's going on? Omri Ben Baruch says, I'm from Israel and that is good news. What is good news? Which news is good? What is the good news? I don't understand. What's the good news? I'm a bit confused. And listen, I'm not going to allow any trolling here. So I hope that this is like a good faith conversation. But what is the good news? The good news, do you understand the conversation? Like, do you actually understand what we're talking about here? This conversation is not about the merits of the war. That's not what we're talking about. That's a separate conversation. What we're talking about is why an African country is the destination for refugees from the Middle East when there are so many Arab nations around this country, and including Israel, that could themselves take in the refugees. Why are you going? And you could go to Europe, you go to all these other places. Why are you going all the way to an African country in Central Africa? A Black African country at that. So I mean, maybe you just came to the show to make a comment, but you should probably listen to what the show is about before making a comment, because this has got nothing to do with, you know, the merit. That's another conversation, and I'm not even having that conversation. My issue here is that Congo has problems, severe problems. Nobody cares about Congo's problems. But rather than you try to help Congo out with the issues that it's having, you're actually going to exacerbate their problems by sending refugees to them. That is what we're talking about here, including the fact that Israel has now been sued and taken to the courts of international departments of justice, you know, by South Africa. Oh, man, that is the thing. That is my issue too. That is my issue. Too real. Saudi Arabia wouldn't take them because of the difference in Sunni and Shia. Yeah, but what's that got to do with us? That's none of our business. That's none of our business. Natsiliam, you're saying that they're sending some to the neighboring Arab countries too. Well, yes, they might be sending some of them to the neighboring Arab countries. My point is that none of them should be going to Congo. Congo should not be an option for this. That's my point. It's irrelevant where else they're going. My point is that Congo shouldn't even be on the list of destinations. Omri Ben Baruch, I do not know what point you're trying to make. Like, yes, you know, what we're talking about here, and I don't know, listen, I'm trying to be kind, but I don't know what points you're trying to make. You know, what they did in your country, what are we talking about here? What are you talking? I don't understand what you're talking about. My point here is that we shouldn't be. Oh, thank you. If you don't care, leave the chat. leave the live. If you don't care, we're talking about the destination of people. We're not talking about the war. If you don't care about where they go, then why are you here? What are you here for? Yeah, no, I mean he'll be blocked. I like to give people the benefits of the doubt before they get tossed. If they show that they're here in bad faith and they're on the show to be silly, that's a different thing. Clearly, this guy just came here to just say his thing, and doesn't really care about what the topic of the conversation is. So, you know, it is what it is. You're not trying to talk. You're here to make statements. You're not trying to talk. You're making statements. If you were trying to talk, you would listen to what we are talking about and try to be constructive. What all the things you've said are completely irrelevant to the conversation. Completely irrelevant. See, what are we seeing here? Ah, Lord. The Congolese government, look. Look, man, the Congolese government, I don't know this. These people are just, you know, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know, I mean, I think, you know, knowing what your nation is in, why these people would even tolerate the conversation of having anybody come over there is beyond me. I don't get it. I don't understand. Let me bring some people into this show. Let me bring some people into the show. Okay, guys, the call-in link is there. Oops. The call-in link is in the chat. Feel free to click that link if you want to join in the conversation. Feel free to click that link if you want to join in the conversation. In the meantime, let's have a let's talk. Let's clean up a few things here. All right, here we go. Yeah, guys, wow. I mean, I'm definitely making videos about both of these things because that's wild, man. I didn't know that. Wow. I didn't know these things were happening. I didn't know these things were happening. That is really, really crazy. That is really crazy. You know, I mean, Congo is having too many issues to be dealing with this. Guys, hit the link. Anybody who wants to join in, you know, well, we are in the final stretch of today's show. So anybody who wants to join in the conversation or have thoughts, click that link. I will bring you in. Otherwise, I will wind us out. I will wind us out. As I said, I think I will be making Cat Williams the topic for Sunday. I will be making Cat Williams the topic for Sunday. I think he said a lot. He said a lot. In the meantime, guys, as I said, if you are not signed up to the newsletter, make sure that you do that. If you are not signed up to the newsletter, make sure that you do that. You can get there directly at themerc.substack.com. You can get there directly that way, or you can go to themerc.io and click the Alkebulan newsletter link in order for you to sign up to the newsletter there. There is also the Patreon channel membership page as well, which you can also be a member of. But definitely, guys, get into the newsletter. Get into the newsletter. So we're going to take a short break right now. And then after we take the break, I'm going to come back and then I'm going to wind us out. Okay, so we're going to take a short break. Developing a thriving community to uncover hidden African history, stimulate critical thinking, and build bridges between Africa and the diaspora requires resources. It cannot be done without you. Consider joining our Patreon family to support my work, where you can watch ad-free videos early, utilize the chat feature, participate in Patreon-only live shows, and be a part of my creative process. Visit the Patreon link at themerc.io, pick your membership tier, and let's make history together. All right, we're back. All right, guys. Could somebody mute Omri Ben Banak? I haven't got time for this. He's the guy who's messing up the chat. You know, I've warned him. I gave him an opportunity. So could one of my mods take care of him, please? Sorry, Omri. We're not having people come here to try to disrupt conversation. Nobody's answering to you as to whether they support or don't support X, Y, and Z. That's not what we're here for. You've picked the wrong room. You're in the wrong zone, my friend. I gave you a chance. I gave you a chance, mate. All right. Yeah, guys. So look, this stuff is taking twists and turns. This stuff is taking twists and turns. it is taking twists and turns. We do not know where this is going to end. Let's see now, what do we have here? All right. All right. Oh my goodness. Ah, man, guys. Anyway, so that's all we got for today. Is there anything that you guys think I am missing though? Like, is there any other news that I might not have missed? Because listen, I did not know about that, so I thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll definitely put that out on my social media. I'll do a little podcast about that probably tonight. Because I wasn't aware that that was happening, and I have thoughts about that. For sure. Um, on that issue, I really wasn't. I was not aware of that. I was not aware that that was happening. The South African troops in DRC, what about them? What about the South African troops in the DRC? What about them? What about them? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, by the way, Wakanda Forever video is almost done. Finally. Do you know what the problem is with this video? The problem is that the video is almost 40 minutes long. So I now have to figure out how I'm going to get a version of that onto my, my social media of like Instagram and so on. Because I do not know how I'm going to condense this thing down to like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I will figure out a way to get a shorter version, but I don't know how short I can get it. So it might just be a case that I only post trailers to. It's unfortunate because I would like to have a version that I could post on TikTok, for example. I would like that, but it's very difficult to edit. I mean, this thing is like I said, it's almost 40 minutes. I mean, I'm thinking about how I'm going to do it, but the stuff is long. In fact, let me even see how many minutes I was. It was. Yeah, it's going to take. Yeah, it's going to be tough to cut that down. It's going to be hard to cut it down. Mixed monthly, making a playlist. People don't bother, like especially on those social media. See, YouTube, I can post the whole video. The thing about TikTok and Instagram is like, you tell them that this is part one. People don't even bother watching part 1, 2, and they just watch the first video and that's it. It's very hard to get people to watch an entire series of something that's the same. You can get people to watch a playlist if all the videos are different, but if your video series is the same video, it's challenging. It's really, really hard to do. And I'm just going by people's behavior. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just people's behavior. They just don't do it. No matter how much you tell them, they just don't do it. Which is very frustrating. But for people on Patreon, I'm going to get that to you first, like I did the other video. So you're going to get to watch it first. What I might do is also the people on this premium tier of the newsletter, I will get that to the premium tier of the newsletter as well. I will get that to, actually, you know what? I don't know, because the problem with Substack is that, I'm trying to separate out the video stuff. So I think it's really more appropriate for Patreon than it is for Substack. But I might put it in the Substack when it's out on YouTube. I think that's what I might do. Like when it's out on YouTube, then I'll use the Substack to promote the video. But I find that people on, like I said, I think people on each of my social media behave very differently. They don't behave the same way. Like Substack people, they don't even really click the video links, really. I think they're more interested in just reading the articles. So it's a very different crowd. Yeah, I mean, it depends with the part 2 and 3. So what I found, so when I did my bricks video, I broke up, I had a bricks version of it. I had a version of my bricks video that was broken up into multiple parts. And I found that some parts actually did better than other parts. So I think that part 3 did better than part 2. And then part 4, I don't think part 4 did that well. But either way, sometimes you'll get situations where some parts do better than other parts. But you don't get a consistent number of views across all 4 parts. And it's always diminishing. So always the first part would be get the most views, and then the rest of the views would be just shared between the other parts that you have. So it's not ideal. But that's the thing. So, it's a very long video. The same thing is going to happen when I get my Cleopatra video. That reminds me, I have to do that Cleopatra video. The same thing is going to happen with that. And that's actually part of the problem, because doing these live shows, the preparation for it and actually doing them takes time away from working on the videos, So it's almost a catch-22 is that, I like right now I could be spending time finishing off some of those videos as opposed to being on live. But you have to weigh these things up. All right, guys, I'm going to head off now. Like I said, what's going to happen is Sunday's show is going to be Cat Williams, the interview of interviews, or at least the interview of the year so far. Well, it's an interview it's a very crazy interview. So there's probably there will be a lot to talk about. All right, guys.